Right, today is the day where we are going to get the Mondeo MOT'd. Now we've got a lot of work to do. Now this isn't going to be a one-day event. We're going to be spreading it across 2 or 3 days by the looks of it. Got a lot of work to do on this, but hopefully at the end of the video this car will have an MOT. So as you can see, I've already got it up on the ramp. I've replaced all the tyres with brand new tyres. Now the ones that I went for are the Kumo Escadas, the Escada Sports as well. They weren't too badly priced. I can't remember how much they are. I'll stick it on the screen. But the reason that I went for the Kumo Escadas is because that I run these on my MGF race car. Now, I don't run the Escada Sports. I run the Escada V70As or the V700s, however you might want to use the term. They're pretty much the same tyre. I think the 700s are the old versions and the 70As are the newer version. I run the 70As. And I have no issues whatsoever in driving the car. Wet, dry. They stick like an AO52 in the dry, and they're better in torrential downpour conditions than the Uniroyal Rain Sports that I have as a dedicated wet for that car. So again, these were about the same sort of price, I believe, as the Uniroyal Rain Sports. I have had Uniroyal Rain Sports on my old estate ST diesel Mondeo, and the track Mondeo that I had many years ago, that ran the Nankang NS20s, not the NS2Rs, the NS20s, which are a road going version of the NS2Rs basically, and I found them to be reasonably good on track, but I thought I'd give these a go. I didn't want to go Toyo Proxies because they got really bad reviews. The TR1's got really bad reviews on road and on track. The Uniroyal Rain Sports, again, really good tyre. Not ideal for dry weather track work. So these were the next best things around about that sort of price. So I was going to go for matching up the Pirelli that I had on there, the P0 Neuro. Now to get a P0 Neuro you have to buy a used one now, because they don't make these anymore, the Neuro GTs. And that worked out, if I was to get 3 on eBay from 3 different sellers, that would work out at about 170, 180 quid. And looking at this one, when I took it off, that's all cracked around the sidewall. There's plenty of tread left on it, but that is majorly cracked on the inside of the sidewall as well. So it's a good job that we got rid of these tyres, especially that one. That one kept going flat as well as, I believe, this bottom one here. That was the first front one that I done, and the reason why that I swapped all these tyres over, because I was getting fed up of keep going out there with a tyre pump, pumping the tyres up just to move the car about. Right, so tyres out the way with, we know they're all good for MOT now. When I took the wheels off, I did notice that whoever painted the wheels didn't take the centre caps off. So just painted with the centre caps on, which meant that when I took the centre caps off, bright silver. I don't like the centre caps on these Mondeos. I think they look a bit gash. I think they look better without the centre caps, if I'm completely honest. Now I did think that they were going to be painted on the inside, because one of the rear ones that was missing a centre cap was painted on the inside. So obviously they didn't think about finding another centre cap. They just painted the inside of that, and didn't bother taking the centre caps off to obviously paint behind the centre caps. So these wheels are a little bit on the wobbly side, not too, they didn't balance out too bad, there wasn't a great deal of weight on them, but they are a little bit wobbly side, they are a little bit corrosive inside as well. So I think later on down the line, after we've got it MOT and we are thinking about tidying this thing up on the outside, I will perhaps get the wheels done as well. Probably in the same colour. I like this like anthracite colour, so yeah, I'll probably have them done in the anthracite colour as well. Not black, not silver. Yeah, I like the bronze as well, but I don't think these in a bronze would look very good. So I think the first job that I want to do today is I need to find out whether I need a pair of rear handbrake cables. In the last video that you'd seen, we saw that the handbrake cables were knackered basically, and I think that's what's seized on. So hopefully I can cut the handbrake cables. I've got some new ones. I've got a box of new parts for this. I'm still waiting for some bits to turn up, but while I'm waiting for other bits to turn up, if I need a set of calipers, if I can get away with not having a set of calipers, then great. But if I need a set of calipers, then I can get them on order and they should turn up roughly at the same time as everything else then. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is get it in the air and cut the handbrake cables and see if them calipers free off.
I'm ready to go to work.
He's ready, he's ready to go to work.
Right, so this is the mess of the braking system that we've got. If I just show you around here, you can see that handbrake cable there doesn't look too fantastic, does it? I think I'm going to struggle to replace them handbrake cables on this ramp. Might have to drop the exhaust down or the heat shields by the looks of it. It's a bit of a chore, but I think if I cut this handbrake cable here, if that handbrake pings back, then so yeah, I think that released maybe. Let me just get a screwdriver. So hopefully this, yeah, look, it's nice and free now. I think that's gone back to the stop. If we can get a light in there. Yeah, it's resting up against that bolt now. There we go. So that is the handbrake cables itself that are causing it to jam on. Yeah, that's nice and free, that is. There's nothing wrong with that. And the other one looks like, although that's seized as well, that do look like it's had a replacement caliper at some point in the not so and that one looks like it's gone back to a stop as well. So yeah, that's nice and free. So yeah, we don't need any calipers. Now, I did buy some caliper paint to do another project. So I'm not too sure whether to whack them in the old sandblaster machine and give them a good old sandblast and a coat of paint, because they are looking a bit scraggly, and when I put all the new shiny discs and pads that I got on it, That's going to look horrible when it's all manky and yeah, wouldn't look so nice, will it? I've also got some new braided brake lines coming as well from Hell Performance, so that'd be nice just to get all that looking like new, like it's been done properly, if you know what I mean. Now I can't do that today because again, need the ramp tomorrow, and that's going to be on the ramp for a couple of days. It's going to take a day to strip off all the calipers, sandblast them, paint them, and then hopefully overnight the paint will dry and then we can build it up the next day. But I think for now what we're going to do is try and tackle these handbrake cables. Now there's not really a lot of room underneath here for me to wave the camera about, so I'm just going to start by stripping off all the heat shields above the exhaust. Hopefully I won't need to take the exhaust off, and then hopefully be enough to get enough access to replace the handbrake cables. Right, heat shield is off. There's a load of like little 10mm washery type nuts that you have to undo, just scattered about, and that will actually bend out the way of the exhaust. You don't need to drop the exhaust. Now mine was glued in with some tiger seal in a couple of places, and as you can see I've ripped a couple of the exhaust heat shield bits off. I might be able to still utilise it, get some nice big repair washer. You see on here, that's the tiger seal with the screw in place, so I might be able to reutilise that, straighten it out, some big repair washers on there to fix that. But now you can see we've got the handbrake cable in eye, so that just runs down the side of here, along here, and then you just see it just along here. 16mm nut, undo that, and that's just push clipped in there, so that will come out. So yeah, I think the most difficult bit is going to be getting it around this fuel filter area. Could do a 2-post ramp really, but you have to work with what you got. Probably easier on the floor actually, on some jack stands, if I'm completely honest, rather than on this ramp. But we'll make do with what we got. I'm not going to moan. I've got a ramp. I'm grateful for that. So let's get all this apart. This just needs to be fed through, and then get the old cables off, and now I've got some nice new ones to go on, and hopefully we'll then have a working rear brake. Right, that's two nice shiny handbrake cables on. There's a couple of clips that are broken here. I thought they came with the cable itself, but obviously not. But I've cable tied them to the arm, so they're not going anywhere. I will need to do, there's a little white grommet thing guide that goes into, there's like a little horseshoe bit in there. I can't quite get to that on the ramp, so I'm going to have to do that when it gets off the ramp. Same this side. Now this cable just seemed a bit too long compared to the other side, but the other side fitted nicely, and that side just don't seem to sit right. They are the same part number apparently, according to Paget, but yeah, I mean we've got some nice handbrake cables on there. I've left this heat shield off for the moment. I'm going to have to get some more of these little nut things and some repair washers. Also, we'll need to adjust it up properly when we get the new discs and pads on, and also I need to order a little horseshoe clip that hold that cable in place, because that one was missing. That's what I should have on there, a little horseshoe clip. So yeah, that is job one done for MOT. So I'm lucky or grateful that I don't have to go and buy a set of rear calipers, because I've already overspent on this, if being completely honest. Again, you'll see what we've got for this car as and when we do the jobs. But the next job isn't an MOT job. I want to get that driver's side window regulator done so I can wind the window up and down properly. Again, the weather around here has been absolutely abysmal and starting to let in a bit of rain, so we'll get that done out the way with, and then we can dry the interior out. It's not soaking wet, just a little bit damp on the seats, that's all. But yeah, we'll get the car down and we'll get that door card off and see what we need to repair that. I have got a window regulator that I've ordered. It sounds like the cable's broken and it's just flapping about, so you can hear the motor, so hopefully that will just be a window regulator. Right, if I remember correctly, I think we need to pull this little cubby thing off. There's a screw in here, the screw here, 2 Phillips screws down the bottom and 2 Phillips screws down the side, and hopefully that will just pop off. We might have to pop this off as well. So let me set you up and we'll get removing the door guard. Right, so you can see the cables are all bunched up around this motor area. So I'm going to assume, I can't remember if I've done one of these on my old one or not. I really can't remember. But there's a 10mm here. There's another 10mm here. That should release the glass. And then it's just a case, I think, these little Torx bits here. There's going to be one down here somewhere as well. Down here. One here, and then there's going to be one up here somewhere. Just that follow the trail, and hopefully we can get this window regulator with the motor. Right, shiny, nice new window regulator, old window regulator. You can see probably why it's failed. Bloody caked in rust. I'm not too sure if it's been replaced before or not, because obviously all that weatherproof and foam stuff is all ripped out, so maybe they had an attempt to fix it, or maybe that's been replaced in the past. I don't know, but looking at the state of that, it almost looked like the state of the bottom of the doors. So all we need to do is just swap this motor over onto our new regulator, and then we can get it into the car, and I'll come back to you when I've done that and we've got it working. Right, we're all back together again now. So we'll just test to make sure it all works. Seems to be working a treat. Although it seems very scratchy, probably on these hecos. So I'm going to chuck some lube in there and see if that works. Right, all back together again now. I've given the door card a bit of a clean. As you can see, it's actually white. So we'll just do a final test. The window has got one touch as well. I think it's only one touch down though, but that's working as it should. Again, just a reminder to see what the door cards used to look like. That's what they used. This is the rear one. The front one was a lot worse than that. But I just used this little rag company Tornado with some all-purpose cleaner in there. Brilliant little tool. You do need a compressor to use it though. So yeah, right, let's get on and do the next little job. Right, sticking with the window theme, the next thing I want to do, not really MOT compliant, but I want to replace this Heco. Now I've already done the other side. That was only missing the front passenger one, but I wanted to replace this one as well. You can either buy it in a full set or in a front section or a back section. So I've replaced this one because the old one, pretty much like this one, a little bit scratched, a little bit faded and starting to craze a little bit due to the sun. So I've got a pair of front ones just to replace the one on the passenger side, which was missing obviously due to the damage or an accident that caused the damage. As mentioned in the last video, we've got a few little dents here, a few little dents here, a scrape along the bottom of the sill cover, and it had another mirror put on, and this is all taped up as well, so I'm going to assume it had a damage and caused all that. Right, let's get you set up and we'll get this Heco put on the car. It's a nice shiny new Heco, a couple of bits of double-sided sticky tape, and hopefully we can slot this bit in. Push it up. We've got a couple of little metal clips that we need to fit in between the Heco and the door frame in the window channel, and the window will go up into that clip there and push the clip up into place. Now they've changed the design of these. They've actually gone for a metal clip now, or stainless clip, and they used to have the plastic ones. I do prefer the plastic ones because they are a lot nicer to work with, where the metal ones are an absolute nightmare. And then just use the flat head of the screwdriver just to push it up into the channel. And we'll just use the window to make sure it goes up and down.
Oh, that's cool on your Heco.
Right, that was a bit more difficult than what it needed to be. They're not normally like that, but they can be like that, if you know what I mean. It turns out that the seal needs to be on the inside, if not the window when it comes up that hits the Hecko itself. And then obviously the seal here was very tight against the glass and against the Hecko, which then caused it not to go up very well. And just to top it off, we found another fault, which is that this window switch doesn't work. So again, maybe that could be in a result of the accident, or someone who's replaced that mirror forgot to plug the switch back in. But I guess we'll have to take that door card off later on down the road. You can still operate it from the driver's side, just not from the passenger side. Again, not really too much of a concern. Again, I was hoping that this Hecko business was going to be a quick 5-minute job. The driver's side was absolutely fine. It took me literally 5 minutes, but this passenger side was a bit of a nightmare. But as you can see, that looks a hell of a lot better with it on, in my opinion. I do like wind deflectors, because when it's raining you can have your window down literally an inch just to let some air in, and the rain doesn't come in. Now it doesn't quite match the rear ones, because the rear ones are quite faded compared to the new ones, but give it 6 months in the summer, that will literally look like that. But that's another job ticked off the list. I think the next thing we're going to do now is just replace all the wiper blades. Right, so I've got some nice shiny new Bosch wiper blades to put on, front and rear. I'm going to assume the spoiler one is going to be for the driver's side, and that's going to be for the passenger side. I think they might have swapped them over because the driver's side one got so bad that they couldn't see anything out the window, so instead of buying a new set of wiper blades, they just swapped it over. That one just fell off. We'll move the rubber as well. Nice easy little job. We'll give everything a clean before the MOT. We'll give the car a bit of a valet, not a detail, but a quick valet, just so it's nice and clean for the MOT tester. Right, the guys at Euro Wrong Parts have said that it's a special wiper blade on the back, so I couldn't have a Bosch one. So they supplied me with a Denso one, but I did question at the time that's just a standard fitment hook type. But obviously they don't like to listen to you. Right, so the wiper works. Again, I would like to have a Bosch one on there. I don't like the look of these, but I guess it's what it is at the end of the day. We'll replace it properly when it needs to be replaced again. The washer jets sounds blocked and it sounds like it's leaking, like squirting down the C-pillar inside the car. So again, we'll have a quick look at that later on down the line. But again, rear washer isn't MOTable, so we don't need to worry about that at this precise moment in time. Right, before slinging this car out tonight, I think what I want to do is take the front brakes off. I've now got everything for the brakes, got the discs, I've got the pads, I've got the lines. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the front calipers and then put the wheels back on, push the car out. I can then refurbish the front calipers. Well, I say refurbish, I'm not going to refurbish them. I'm literally going to chuck them in a sandblaster, knock off the worst of the rust, because it's a lot easier to do that than it is by wire brush, and does a nicer job as well. Just try and keep away from the actual boot and seal on the caliper itself, on the piston. You'll be golden. I can take them off, and I can still use the handbrake on the back of the car to obviously stop the car when I go to take the car out. But I've obviously changed the handbrake cables on it, and I've knocked that caliper lever back, yet that's still solid as a rock. So I'm gonna hopefully get the car out. We'll do the fronts, we refurbish the fronts, and then I'll bleed the fronts, and then when we go to take the backs off, I'll just clamp the pipe, so then we've got front brakes. So again, I can move the car about without fear of not being able to brake, basically. I would like to just take the wheels off and do the actual brakes all as one complete unit, but it's not going to be realistic. I need the ramp to do other work, and this monstrosity over here is taking up this end of the workshop. So I'm just waiting for some bits to come back from being dip printed for the interior. They can go back in, and then obviously we can get that one out and reutilise this space for another project. Right, that was a bit of a mission, trying to get them calipers off. Passenger side absolutely fine, as you saw. Do the driver's side, and whoever fitted these caliper bolts last rounded the bolt off and had no choice but to weld an old socket onto it to get the thing out. And I was literally hanging on a 1/2 inch breaker bar to get it undone, but we got there in the end. Brakes were off. Let's get this car out and start refurbing the brakes. So I'll cut back into you when we get on to do the next job. Right, so back on with the Mondeo. We'll just concentrate on getting the MOT stuff done now instead of the fancy stuff, if you know what I mean. So I'm looking at the bonnet catch conundrum. I've got this is the old catch that was just hanging in there. and this is the one off the on the back seat from the last episode. So, but I am missing the bar that goes from the lock into the catch itself. Now I have got some aero catchers, and I'm more inclined to fit the aero catchers than I am to try and repair that, because these always go. But another issue that I've got was the airbag warner light. Now I've stuck the 4Scan on. I bought a 4Scan off eBay. So I've got the adapter here just hooked up into my laptop and got it hooked up and stuff. But it's come up as the front crash sensor. Now when I came to have a look at that, this little cable here, which is for a front crash sensor, is meant to be going into the front crash sensor next to that rusty old bolt there. So I'm going to try and hook that up and see if that's fixed the airbag light. And also the engine light has come up with the evap system, so it takes all the fuel vapors from the tank and sticks them into the inlet manifold, which is this little jobby here. That all looks okay, although being cable tied up, I mean all the pipes look okay, that's plugged in, so we will have to take all this apart anyway, because we need to do spark plugs and I need to take the inlet manifold off. So we'll just double check all that, and just there's a couple of PVC hoses as well for the crankcase ventilation, which are these hoses here. I mean, as you can see, that's very leaky, that is. Look at that, that's not even in there properly. And there's one right at the back underneath there, it goes to the other rocker cover as well. So my guess is, I had this in the past, in my old one, that they just tend to split and leak. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in. I'm just going to make sure that the airbag light goes out, and if it does, then happy days. I've got the brand new battery on, the right battery for the car now. So yeah, that bit is all done. I have obviously taken the front brakes off like I said I was going to, and in the meantime I've been painting them. So these have all been painted. They're not the best job in the world, but I sandblasted them all. They were all very, very pitted. You can probably see all the pit in there. So I've sandblasted them all in my little cabinet. Again, not the best sandblast in the world. And I've painted them in some caliper paint, some nice yellow caliper paint. There's about 6 coats on there, but that didn't seem to cover very well. And also I picked up another set of rocker covers, because we need to change the rocker cover gaskets because they're leaking as well. And while we've got the inlet manifold off, to change the spark plugs, I thought I'd get another set of rocker covers, and I painted these. Again, not the best job in the world. There's a little bit of almost transparent where the paint hasn't got stuck on properly. Again, there's about 6 coats on there. I've gone through 4 cans to paint all this, and again, that's just paint off eBay. I think it's K2 or something is the brand. But yeah, we need to get the back brakes off as well. I've ordered 2 new calipers in the end, because I put the handbrake cables on and it just didn't still seems to be working right. This wheel here is still pretty much seized. So yeah, I just bought 2 calipers, Febby calipers off Autodoc. So I've just got to get the carriers off these, sandblast the carriers, paint the new calipers, and then we can build the brakes up. But let's get this plugged in and let's see if it's fixed our fault. I don't think I'll be able to get to it from there. Right, that's all plugged in. Let's give it a whirl and see what happens. Probably all the airbags will go off. So airbag light is just this one here. Well, that still seems to be faulty. So we'll get the full scan back on it in a bit and we'll just see what it tells us now. We'll clear all the faults. Maybe that had fixed it. Right, so the faults that I've got here at the moment is impact sensor fault, and this other one is a curtain fault. So I think what we'll do is we will try and clear the codes. Action will reset and see what comes back. So we have got a curtain fault. It doesn't say what curtain it is, I don't think. Let's try and start it. Now I've still got a fault, so just need to figure out what curtain airbag that this is, whether it's the driver's side or the passenger side. So this is the same, it's just come up with a curtain fault. Again, doesn't indicate what side it is, but I guess we will. And we've also got a fault code for ABS for the left rear wheel speed sensor as well. So yeah, every time I go to this car we've got a new fault. But let's try a quick erase. Maybe that'll erase it better than the 4scan, who knows. Right, I'll do a search and see if that code relates to what side it is on the Googles, and then we'll crack on and get some brakes done. Well, I've stripped all the rear brakes off. I can't even get that caliper off that disc. That's so rusted in there. So I'm glad I've, even with the handbrake at a stop, I think the actual caliper itself is knackered. So again, I've ordered a set of calipers. Just need to strip the carriers off, sandblast the carriers, and paint them, and paint the new calipers. If you come over here, this is the paint that I've been going for. Normally I use, is it E-Tech is the caliper paint specialist, but I've gone for this stuff, K2 stuff. Again, people say that's good, but I just find the coverage on it is really bad. As I say, especially in the yellow, it's just, yeah, just hasn't laid very nicely. Again, new set of rear calipers, Febby ones. I wanted to go for something fairly decent. I think these come with a 2-year guarantee as well. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they do. I have also got a set of Hell brake lines. I've also got some new handbrake retaining clips. I think these are the right ones. It's listed as a Vauxhall, but I believe they are the same kind. I think these will fit. Got some new front carrier bolts, because obviously had to weld the socket on to get the other one off. All new drilled M-Tech discs. I've always run M-Tech discs, I just find them good. Again, I've got the black coating on them as well. And again, I didn't want the drilled and grilled, I just want the drilled ones. And I've gone for EBC yellow stuff pads. I would normally go for the blues, but you can't get the blues in the Mondeo fitment. So yeah, it is what it is. I went for the yellows. Again, that'd be good for road driving as well as a little bit of track work. Nothing too heavy, but they will sustain a little bit of track work. The reviews on these yellows are really poor, but in my experience the old yellows are really poor because the backing, or the actual material come away from the backing, and they were quite dangerous. But I believe they have now got a different backing where there's like spikes that hold the actual pad material in place, so they've upgraded them a bit now, so hopefully they're not as bad. And also it matches the colour of the calipers. I've already shown you these, but obviously these are the calipers that I've already gone for the shot blaster and just ran that paint over. I've taken all the sliders out, greased all them. I believe this is a new caliper. Yeah, you can see that's a new caliper on there. And that's the old one. Again, it's not a genuine caliper. This is a genuine caliper, the Bosch caliper. But we'll see how we get on with this. I might upgrade these to the ASBO brakes at some point in its life, but let's see how we get on with these first. And if we knock all these out on the first track day, then I can then go for the ASBOs. And I know I can get the blue stuff pads on the ASBOs because I run them in my Focus, and I have no issues whatsoever on the brake on my Focus. So I guess I'll get you set up and we'll just slap the fronts on, just so they're done. And then hopefully we can get the backs all sandblasted and painted. We won't be out of it today because the paint will still be wet. But hopefully I can get them painted today, leave them to dry overnight, and then come in the morning and get the backs all built up. And then we can bleed the brakes, and then hopefully that will be the brakes done. Don't that look a hell of a lot better? So we've got lovely freshly painted calipers on there, yellow stuff pads. I mean, I would like the blue because that'll offset the yellow to the blue of the car, you know, but it is what it is. And the better braking, obviously. Drill discs, obviously all that coating will come off when we start using the brakes. They are the right way round, so these are handed, so left to right. Hell line is on. That just seems a little bit short here. Either that or this heat shrink is just a little bit on the long side. Just seems to tug it a little bit when you're on full lock, but we'll see how it gets on. Surprisingly enough, the brake line came out pretty well. You know, it didn't round off, and it cracked off rather nicely, and yeah, came off rather well. The one on the caliper was a little bit of a difficult one that took some persuading, but we got it off in the end. So yeah, we'll crack on and do the other side. We'll strip the rear brakes down as well, get them in the blast cabinet, blast them off. I'm not going to bore you with all that. I have got a episode on an MG ZS of stripping and rebuilding brakes, and we actually put a full brake kit in, so pistons, seals, all that sort of stuff. If you want to check that out, go and take a look at these. I think that's the ZS Turbo, MG ZS Turbo blue one. So yeah, check that out. Playlist on there, loads of, I think, useful stuff. But yeah, we'll crack on, we'll do the other side, and we'll get the rears all stripped down, sandblasted, and start getting them into some paint while we're doing some other jobs. while all these are drying, I'm doing multiple coats. I've got the old heater on there, just blowing straight on there. So every half an hour or so, when that starts to get a little bit on the tacky side, I'll chuck another coat on, and I'll probably do that 6, 7, 8 coats, I guess. I mean, this is 3 coats, and you still see, you know, it's not really covering very well. Yeah, I'm not too sure what I think about this at the minute, especially in the yellow. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've used this before, but with red on one of the MGs, I'm pretty sure. But the yellow, that just has turned out too patchy. But they are only calipers, you won't really see it that much, and especially when you get some old brake dust on there. You know, it is what it is at the end of the day. We'll let them tack off a little bit more, and I've got the rear discs on at the minute. They just to get them out of the way, really. But I think the next thing we'll need to do now is we'll crack on and do some servicing. So engine oil filter change, we've got gearbox oil change. We'll do all that when the car's up in the air, might as well. I've got down the coolant change. I'm not too sure if I've got the right coolant or not, but because it's just murky water, can't remember what's in it. I need to have a look and see what's in there. I've got blue coolant, or I've got oat coolant, the red stuff. I'm not really too sure. I know my Focus, I think that takes like yellow coolant, like the same coolant as what you put in Renaults and stuff. But anyway, let's crack on. Let's get the gearbox oil changed first, and then we'll crack on and do the engine oil change. 2 things that's relatively straightforward, and we can knock them out of the park relatively quickly. That's the gearbox and engine oil all nice and changed now. I think the next thing to do is to tackle the spark plugs. I have got the right coolant, that is oat coolant, so the red coolant. So we'll tackle that later on. I really want to get this MOT because I'm so many days into this now and time is a pressing on. So the next thing I need to do is need to take off all this inlet manifold. I've got some nice new Roos hoses to obviously replace all these damaged ones. I think I've got this one here, and there's one that goes underneath as well. And I've got a nice Roos induction hose to top everything off. And I thought while we're doing the spark plugs, that'd be a shame to leave these rocker covers in the state that they are. So again, I've purchased some second-hand ones, just gave them a bit of a clean up and a bit of paint, you know, nothing special, but I wanted to address this oil leak. I think the rocker cover gaskets are leaking oil, so just prime time to do it while we've got the inlet manifold off, because that back one is a bit of a nightmare. So there's nothing left to say really, but just to get on and get it done. So I'll set you up and get you on a time lapse. So manifold is off. Obviously there's missing bolts. The one that was in here and the one at the back here was missing, which I didn't mind because it made it easier for me to get it apart. But I will be reinstating them bolts because obviously it's there for a reason. That manifold start flexing and you're going to get air come through this gasket here. The other thing that I did was I've labelled up the coil pack itself with the leads, and I did buy another coil pack and lead kit, just a second-hand standard one, but the main reason why I wanted that was to try and reinstate some of these clips. Now I know the HT leads on these ones are way too big, but hopefully that we can get the clips in place and maybe cable tie them in place, try and make it a little bit tidier than what it already was. But as you can see, we've got all this access now to these valve covers, so it's just a case of some 10 mils all the way around, and then we can pop the valve covers off and have a look and see the condition of the engine. So not looking too bad in there at the minute, is it? All the cam lobes look nice, not too worn. Chain feels nice and tight. Don't look too carboned up in there. So yeah, pleased with that. It's done 163,000 if memory serves me right. So don't look too bad. You can see all the oil down here. We'll clean some of that up when we put the other cam carrier on, or sorry, cam cover. Now I have got an invoice in the service history, or what little service history has got, has had new cams cover seals. They look like L-ring ones, being that they're red. Not a huge love of L-ring gaskets, if I'm completely honest. And also that says that the sump has been done. So yeah. Another thing is we've still got the original Ford intake manifold gasket, so that's obviously been off and they haven't replaced the intake manifold gaskets. So this is what I've got. I've got some Victor Vines gaskets. Apparently these are the ones to go for if you're not going OE. They look like genuine Ford ones, to be completely honest. And then cam cover gaskets, and also the spark plug rings. Now I couldn't find any Victor Vines spark plug seals for the cam cover. So what are these? Well, there we go, look. But again, I got them off, all this I got off AutoDoc. And the only other one, you could get the cam cover with the spark plug gaskets, but again, that's L-ring stuff, and I've already said I'm not really a fond lover of L-ring stuff. You know, I've replaced too many gaskets that leaked that's got the L-ring brand on it. So yeah, I go with what I know is best. Victor Vines on Fords are normally really good. Probably are the original supplier of the Ford gaskets, but I can't confirm that. Right, so next thing we need to do is we need to clean up all this old gasket material, all in here. We need to prep the new valve covers or cam covers with the new gaskets and the bolts. I've taken all the bolts. Again, another thing I couldn't get was the seals for the bolts. So all these bolts here have seals in them. And I'll show you what they look like. Are they over here? No, they're over here with the gas cam covers. So yeah, just rubber O-rings. But what we'll do is we'll just make sure these are all nice and clean. We'll give it a little bit of lube with some silicone, and hopefully they'll squash back up again and create a good seal. Right, first cam cover is on. I just put some little bits of sealant just on the joins of the two front and back covers, just good practice too, really. Just changing the spark plugs out, some nice new NGK ones, and the old ones are also NGK, so be interesting to see if the back bank matches up with these three here. That would be interesting, because from the MG Rover worlds, not a lot of people want to take off the inlet manifold to change the back three spark plugs. So I'm just going to whack these in. I'm going to cover that back one up for tonight, and I'm going to call it a day, and then we'll come back tomorrow.
The next day.
So I've got all the rocker covers all on and painted and sealed up, new seals, gaskets, and all that sort of stuff. I just cracked on and done it this morning. I spent the last probably 45 minutes trying to sort out the HT leads and its proper orientation and fitment, sort of like. But the trouble is, all these leads are all different lengths, and trying to find the right place to go into the right, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I did buy another HT lead set, which is an original set, which sort of like gave me all the layout on where it all goes. The reason why I bought this was for the clips, but because they're a 10mm lead, and I think these are like a 7 or an 8mm, they don't quite fit in the clips properly over there. I've managed to get a couple of them in there, but they're not really the bestest fit. So hopefully that's got me out of a little bit of a model, and I've got a spare coil if I need it. So we'll just keep that. Again, I managed to get a couple of the clips on. That they're not the best. Again, that one's alright. I've had to cable tie these ones up with some little cable ties. They don't look too bad. But the little cover that goes over here won't fit again because the leads are too big. I've got the clips in place. Because these are all different lengths and not the right length to the original set, they don't really sit in the right place. You know, I mean, that's fouling the engine oil cap. So yeah, I have discovered, and I have got fitted on my Racing Metro, you can buy aluminium spacers that these sit in. So I might buy a couple of sets of them aluminium spacers. You get like ones to carry 2 leads, one to carry 3 leads, and one to carry 4 leads. So I might just order a couple of sets of that for the 10mm leads, and then hopefully that will just space it out nicely. And also, because we've got a nice little handy bolt here, when you put the bolt to hold the leads in place, I'll put a little thing on the screen, we might be able to bolt that to the cover instead of it all flapping and hitting this nice new paint and chipping the paint off. So I've just got the inlet manifold to fit now. I'll crack on and do that. Again, I've got some brand new Victor Rhines gaskets, and also I've got some brand new breather hoses as well from Roost Motorsports. At the minute, I've got the old K&N cleaning over there. The calipers are all starting to dry off. Well, they are dry. I've just got the little heater on there at the minute just to warm it up, just to bake them off again because it got cold in there last night. But I'll crack on, I'll get this inlet manifold on, I'll start getting some of the hoses on and stuff like that, and then hopefully I can show you the nice new shiny bits. Well, that's looking a hell of a lot better, isn't it? Look at all this shiny stuff. This is all the Roost Motorsport stuff that I've got. These little elbows, they normally break and leak air, and that gives you all sorts of emission problems, engine warning lights and stuff like that. There's another one that goes onto that rocker cover just down there as well, and they all get plumbed into this elbow, I guess we'll call it. And also the other one is for the crankcase breather. You can just see it down here, and that goes to the back of the inlet manifold there. Again, that's another prime example where they tend to go. This is the old one. I had the same problem with my old ST220. This one looks like it's been replaced. As you can see, it's got a Ford sticker on it. Now Roost do two different types. They do a full one for this. Again, I can see the state of this. Look, this goes onto here. You get the idea. That goes onto there, and then it goes down into the crankcase. Now I've gone for the full one, which basically replaces all this, but you can get a half one as well, which is this one here. I did order it because I didn't know which one that I needed, and that literally goes to this joiner here, and then you're left with all that one. So I would say get the bigger one, because it then replaces all this and replaces that joiner as well, which again, they're quite prone to splitting. We can see that, can't you? So I've washed the air filter out. That's literally just drying over there in front of the heater. You need to let them dry naturally, then I can oil it up and stick that on. I've just replaced the pollen filter. See the old one just here. I've replaced it with a Bosch one. I try and use all Bosch filters nowadays. I just think they're the better option, I believe anyway. I have got a fuel filter to go on, but that's literally right underneath the ramp on the driver's side. I can't get to it at the minute, so I'm going to have to wait until we get off the ramp, and then I'll have to jack it up and get to it. Again, I'm going to leave the coolant for time being. What I'll do is once it gets for an MOT and we get it up and running and it's all nice and happy, I'll stick a flush in it and then flush the whole system out and then replace with new. Maybe we'll do another video on fixing all the non-MOT faults that we've got with this car. Again, painting the rocker covers, doing all this stuff wasn't MOT, doing the service isn't MOT, but obviously we've got an engine management light on. I just think because it's been stood for so long, a fresh service, fresh set of fuel, hopefully that will liven it up, make it feel a bit better. Hopefully, that's the hope anyway. So we've only got 3 jobs left to do now. That is to sort the bonnet catch out. Now I've got some aero catchers which I'm going to stick onto the bonnet. We've got some nice little stops here which have indicated lovely onto the bonnet, so hopefully that'll make life a lot easier, and we can obviously get access. We'll take this grill out and then we'll get access to the bottom here to do all the adjustments, and then we can cut the top of the bonnet for the aero catchers. We've got the rear brakes to do. Again, they're not dry, they're already dry. I've just got to put them together now. I've just put the heater on them just to warm the metal through, to give it a final bake, really, is what I'm trying to do. So we've got the rear brakes to do. We'll change the brake fluid at the same time, because obviously we've got all new lines on it and everything. And hopefully that's just that SRS warning light on. Again, we've got the front crash sensor in. That's all gone. That fault code has now gone. But we've got another fault code for a curtain airbag, which is going to be one of these ones. I've done a Google search and it's come back as passenger side curtain airbag. So I guess we'll just see where that connects into, unplug it, plug it back in, and see if that fixes the fault. Because for just to have the crash sensor fault, and then as soon as I plug that back in, we've now got a curtain airbag fault. Yeah, if not, I'll just have to order the curtain airbag off eBay and just replace it. But I'm hoping to get all this done so we can hopefully get it in for the MOT in the next couple of days. If not, have this all done today, ready for an MOT, and then hopefully that go in on Monday and go straight through. But obviously we need to sort out that airbag first, we need to sort out the brakes, and we need to sort out the bonnet latches. So let's crack on. I think the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to get the brakes done, get that all bled through, then all the wheels can go back on. It's getting a bit messy around here with all the stuff just laying around, so that'd be nice to get some of the stuff back on the car so I'm not tripping over it, get some of the tools away. Now I'm not going to bore you with sticking the rear brakes on or the wheels on, just going to play through it, and then hopefully I'll join you when we go to fit the bonnet catchers, because that's a little bit of a... I've never done a set of aero catchers before. I've only done the cheap little pin type ones on my race car, so it'd be nice to see what it's like to fit actual aero catchers. You know that saying, a 10-minute job is only 2 minutes away from a 3-hour ordeal? Well, that's exactly what I've just encountered. Brakes on, absolutely fine. Go to put the hose on, can't get off the actual union itself. That one was just C solid. The other side, it's just twisting the pipe up. Obviously these pipes have been replaced before with copper, so you know it's inevitable really. Luckily enough though, I managed to snip the end off and then get my little tool in to flare the end, which is just this little tool here. You reflare the end, put a new nut on it, job's a good one. Every time I fit or replace a brake pipe, and I replace it with copper, I don't use just standard copper, I use the Cooper nickel stuff, and I use the coated one as well, green coated, because I think that looks a bit more factory. But I always grease up the pipe behind the union and as well as the threads, because if you ever have to take it apart in the future, you know that's going to come apart hopefully without too much drama. Now I've got to do the other side as well, so I'm just going to crack on and do that. Again, this is a side where that will come out of here. I've managed to release it out of here, but it's just twisting this pipe up because the pipe is just seized onto the actual union itself. So bear with me and I'll get that done, and hopefully we can adjust the handbrake, bleed the brakes, and also I've got a repair kit for the heat shield, so I'll be able to put the heat shield back on as well. Right, let's get on. Just bleeding the brakes now with Mr. Push. I've got it filled up with some nice Miller's 300 plus motorsport grade fluid. I've sucked everything out of the actual bottle itself, and obviously topped it up with the 300, and then in my bottle here we've got some nice 300 in there as well. So yeah, just bleeding through the brakes, just trying to push out all the old fluid as much as we can, and then I can adjust the handbrake and put the heat shield on. So managed to salvage the old heat shield. These are the repair washers, I'm going to call them. Just got them off Amazon. Just type in exhaust heat shield repair kit and there's loads of them on there, but yeah, does the job. This is a job that I'm never going to do again. Fitting aero catchers. As you can see, we've already got one in, and that's working as it should, he says. Just need to push down on it. This is hard to do when I've got holding the camera. But that's one. And obviously we've got the other one sort of finished. We've got the catch in here. That goes down in place, and then we've got a little nut pad to go on the back. That just goes on the other side of the bonnet, There's some nuts that goes in the inserts and then some screws that goes into there. But I would have liked to have filmed a bit more of this, but I thought I'd crack on and do this first one because I've never fitted aero catchers before. Crack on and do this one and then show you how to do the other one. But to be honest with you, I mean, we've got some big hole that you need to drill or cut out for the obviously the nut plate to go in. I did do it a little bit bigger than needed, but we've got some rust proof primer on there, and also I've got some performance blue paint that I can go over it with from when I done the Mondeo front bumper, the old ST Estate. I think I even filmed that, to be honest with you. Right, so I'm just going to crack on. I'm going to get these bits done. I'm going to get all this blown in with a bit of paint, and then that'll be that job done. And then I think it's just the airbag light that we need to sort out, and jobs should be a good one. The engine management light isn't on at the minute. There was a ABS light, ESP light on. Turned out that this wheel sensor, the plug is broken, and someone had glued it in with a bit of Mastix or sticker flex or something. I must have knocked it and just dislodged it basically, but I took it out, cleaned it, and I've just done the same. I'm not sure if it's the actual sensor broken or if it's the actual plug broken, but hopefully that will sort it out. Right, let me get on and crack on and finish doing this bit here. As I say, we'll blow this over with a little bit of blue paint just to tidy it up a bit, and then I'll show you the finished results. Well, I think we're pretty much there. I think we can now sling it in for an MOT and see what happens. All this lovely, glorious yellow and red. Roost Motorsports. Yes, my dream is coming true, shall we say. Obviously, my old one that I had red rocker cover and yellow leads, but because the leads are already red, I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. You know, we've got some red pipes going on. We've got the K&N, it's all freshly cleaned out now, and it's all mounted properly how it should be. All the little pipes that are normally the issue for engine management lights on, and we've replaced. So yeah, we will see. At the minute the engine management light is off. I've sorted that ABS sensor out. At the minute the light is off. I'll probably take it down the road and the ABS, that plug will probably come loose again. So I'm going to have a look and see what that is. And the airbag light is just
Struggle sometimes to speak clearly without tripping over your words. You know, whether you're in a job interview, you're talking to somebody you just met, a family member, a friend.
Has just gone off. So yeah, I don't know what's caused that, but I think just sitting there with the ignition off has just sorted itself out, I guess. I mean, we didn't have a fault for the curtain airbag, we just had a fault for the crash sensor. But this had come on, so no doubt, I'm sure that the airbag light will come back on. But at the minute it's off, so we can chuck it in for an MOT, and then we'll deal with that when it comes back on again. Now we've got all the brakes on, all new pads and discs, new handbrake cables, rear calipers. That's all been set up. Again, just need to give it a road test to bread the old brakes in. You can see how much dust is on it from when I've been using the sandblaster. The little vacuum cleaner on the side that normally stops all this dust just kept cutting in and out. So yeah, I just gave up in the end and just done it without it. Again, we've got a few faults to still fix with the radio and stuff like that. We'll sort that out another time. Again, just want to get it on the road and get it driving just to see just a few miles on it. See if there's anything else that's fault, like any knocking noises or anything like that. You know, I haven't heard anything yet, just driving around the yard, but you know, I could chuck the old tray plates on it and give it a good old run down the road. But the MOT station is literally just on the other side of that wall, so I can just chuck it in and hopefully that'll pass, and then we can tax it I can drive it down to the petrol station, get some petrol in it. Right, I'm just rambling on now. Again, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick it in for an MOT. I'll edit this video and I will get the video out to you, but it is ready for an MOT. What is today? Friday today, so I'll edit the video for the weekend. You get to see it the weekend, and on Monday, hopefully we can get it in for an MOT, if not it'll be Tuesday. And then, yeah, I'll let you know in the next video if it's passed or failed. If it's failed, obviously we'll have some stuff to do, a bit more content for you guys. But yeah, we'll see. I can't see no reason why it would fail. The other thing that I wanted to show you was obviously the catchers. Obviously we've painted them in the performance blue, so it just makes it a little bit tidier, doesn't it? I ain't going to shut the bonnet down because the paint is still a little bit, well, it might be alright now. Quite warm in here, so I literally just put a couple of coats on there just to tidy it up. It's obviously got the rust proof primer on underneath as well. But yeah, that didn't turn out too bad. Again, I don't think I'll be fitting another set. Don't get me wrong, they are an absolute nightmare. To be fair, I wish I'd have just persevered and just fixed the bonnet latch, because all I needed was the short little bit that goes from the lock to the actual latch itself. But yeah, race car and all that. Right, as I say, I'm just rambling on now, so I will end this video here. Look at that. It's going to be good when it's on the road. I'll get it edited out, get it out to you this weekend, and then I will let you know in the next video if it's passed or failed. Obviously, hit that subscribe button. I might do a little post to say if it's passed or failed, you know, just in the community. But you'll only see that post if you are subscribed. So, obviously, do the old subscribe. Right, I hope you enjoyed this little video, and we'll see you in the next one.